Hello, good morning guys. It's been a couple of weeks. It's been a crazy couple of weeks actually because I, for some stupid reason, bought a motorbike that was in loads of boxes and separate bits. Yeah, so I've been doing that. Anyway, today's video is going to be, I challenged myself to see what is the cheapest cassette deck I could find on eBay. So I'm not talking about like a Walkman, I'm not talking about, a portable one, a cheapest possible cassette deck that I could find on eBay. And how much was this beautiful cassette deck? It was, drumroll, £2. £2. How can you possibly even... honestly, if it was me, I probably wouldn't have sold it for £2. I would have given it away. Shipping doesn't count because essentially I've also bought a box, so I don't really factor that in. But £2. Let's crack this open. I don't know if it works. I don't know what the crack is with it. It just said cassette deck, £2. So we'll flash it up and see what happens, and see if we just can do our very best with this by spending a little bit of time. Maybe put some belts on it, maybe we'll change the pinch roller, set up the azimuth, do a little bit of calibration, and then we'll put a test to it. And at the end, I think I'm going to give this one away to one of my lucky subscribers. So yeah, there you go. So you will potentially have this in your house if you're watching this video. So let's get to this, crack this box open and see what it looks like. I need a knife. Scissors will have to do. It's particularly well packed actually for something that costs so little. Oh. I've actually seen a few posts about people saying that they cut the plugs off before they ship. I don't get it. I don't understand why is that a thing. If you could let me know in the comments, that'd be great, because I don't fully understand it. Is it just to protect from it damaging itself in transit? I don't know. I'm pretty happy with that. That's pretty cool actually. Let's have a closer look. So this is a Philips with one L, FC444, and it looks pretty good, if I'm honest. We have got a manual eject button. It's got some really funky hype logos. We've got FSX ferrite, servo control ferrite heads, azimuth. Yes, it has an azimuth. I don't know what that means. I remember looking at that in more detail. We've got logic control buttons, which is pretty cool. Timer, rewind and wind. I like that. That's better than fast forward, actually. We have got a bias tape selector and a Dolby switch. Micro headphones, not sure. And we've got ourselves a nice manual counter and a recording knob. And I like this orange, actually, around here. This is pretty cool. So that's going to be one hell of a belt if this is driven from this transport over here. The button's a bit sticky. Inside then we have a significant amount of somebody's DNA, a very strange looking pinch roller, plastic and metal transport, a nice brass bush on our capstan there, a very dusty head, but nothing that looks particularly unsalvageable. The pinch roller is a little bit suspicious, so I think I'm going to change that one out. But let us whip the top off, make sure everything's okay inside, there's no bits missing or anything, as in that's the reason why it was £2. Plug it in and see what we get in this current state. This is actually a neat little feature. I thought that was stuck, but check this out. So the button will stay there until you shut the door. Very nice. Very strangely, we have Torx heads. They don't look like they've been touched. I don't think anybody's been in this. This isn't a prime time for servicing. Looking around about, we have absolutely nothing other than integrated RCAs, which... I don't mind that. They're not the best. I don't mind that. They're not the best of quality, but they're not the worst. Maybe they could benefit from a clean up too. But yeah, it's this brown grey colour. It reminds me of quad gear, to be honest with you. It's quite impressive how they make something look so brown and yet not be brown. Anyway, let's get this lid off. Look at that for making sure you don't get any dust inside it. Sellotaped foam. Pretty cool. let's take a look inside this. A lot of gunked up grease. The belts are still intact. As I said, look at the length of that belt to that counter. That is massive. That's going from this pulley here to this one over there. Everything else inside looks actually pretty good. Reasonable power supply. Caps all look nice. I don't really see anything majorly wrong. We have a strange earth over there, which to the earth to the chassis seems to be just a spring. It's pretty novel, I think. We've got some pretty old-fashioned looking pots there, but I don't mind those kind of pots. A little bit of a clean. We've got MSN 5188 motor. No idea what that is, but nothing particularly stand out there. Let's see if we can get the transport out and we can crack on. In fact, no, let's stick a plug on this and see if it plays, what it does, what moves, what doesn't. Righty-ho, so plugged in, we have some form of life. We have lights, on-off switch, works. You get a little pop there, if you notice. Look at that. I have to see what that sounds like through an amplifier. But let's pop the tape in. Door doesn't want to work now. This is just basically dirty, I think. Chaz and Dave. Rewind. It is kind of running, but it's not rewinding the tape. Fast forward, the same. Play. It is working, and we've got levels. This doesn't sound healthy whatsoever. The level meters are pretty cool. I'm quite happy with that. 0 decibels there. This tape I think peaks at about +1, +2. It's just stopped. It didn't sound too great, let's be honest. If you could hear that, hopefully this tape isn't chewed. No, tape's good. But it's certainly not amazing. But we have the technology. These reels have massive great springs in them. That one's very tight actually, the tension on that one. This one's nice and soft. That one's a bit tight. You might have to move that spring down. And we'll just see what we can do with this. We'll see if we can get the transport out, clean it up, make it as efficient and as well working as possible. I might even fire a tape 2 tape in, do a bit of recording and see what it comes out with. But for now, let's start taking this thing to bits. Right, so I've removed the side panels so I can get a little bit more access. What I'd like to do is make sure I can get that capstan out, and from what I can work out, the only real way of being able to do this is this Torx screw up here, and then there's another one just down there. So I'm just going to have to do my best and not damage any of this plastic obviously, but at the same time try and get the capstan out so I can give it a good clean and oil for a wow and flutter, and then remove those belts. All the belts seem to be just bog standard kind of square drive belts, so that's good when we've got those in stock, and hopefully we can crack on and get that done. So I'm going to try and start with these ones in here. This seems like the most sensible one, or the most sensible way that I'm going to be able to kind of get this part here up and out, which is obviously where our belts are and what's blocking our capstan in as well. So we'll kind of have to see, but I don't want to remove things that I don't need to. If I can get these two out this way, I think I can get in the back, down the back of the chipboard there, and remove the final one. And this arm here, which goes to our recording cut-off switch, that comes off with a screw on this end. These are really long, they go all the way through. So there's two. And the final one, if you can see it, is right down the back down here. And I think I can just get a screwdriver in there, yep. There is an earth strap on that one as well. I have to remember to put that earth strap back on once we get this back in. Now I'm hoping this doesn't just kind of explode as soon as I take these out, because there is a lot of things I think have been added to this transport top down that way once it's been built. It's really difficult to work out how this was originally put together in the factory. Usually they're really simple to work out the best way of removal, but this one, not so much. But now those screws are out, I think this retaining plate for the capstan, yeah, that's loose now. That's good. So let's try and find a sensible way of removing it and not lose track of what's where. I think I'm going to... that belt's got to go on. I think that belt's got to go on last. Let's remove this recording cut-off bar. This is kind of held in place. I'm trying not to put any pressure on the board either, because it's not really in any kind of secure place. That's a great little way of attaching that, actually. The bar just lifts out. So now, as you can see in there, as soon as I remove this plate, all this stuff's just going to want to fly all over the workshop. So let's see. Let's see what we can do. Even if we can just move it, it's so difficult the way that this is put together. This bar, I think I might be able to take that bar off there with that kind of like plastic clip. If I find a good pair of pliers, oh, it's just gonna break this. Yeah, right, wish me luck. Will it just pull? Yes. Right, there's that. You all remember where that went for me, please? Oh, everything's kind of floating. I don't think this... I'm going to have to remove this, I think, which is the wheel for the tape counter. This was not built with servicing in mind. Oh, we can actually remove the biggest belt ever seen in NATO. Look at the size of that, and that is stretched, so that needs replacing if I've got a big enough one. Oh, maybe no, I'm gonna have to remove this wheel, which is held in place by this plastic clip here. I think I can possibly get underneath. I hope you don't mind my commentary. This actually, oh, there's like a circlip in there. Me talking to myself kind of helps me figure out what's going on with it, so hopefully you don't mind. This has got a retaining clip and a spring as well. If I can try and rotate that, yeah. And obviously with everything being plastic, it's really difficult to apply the right amount of pressure but not break things. Come on, Paul. And then I've got a pick. So I think if I can get in behind that circlip without pinging it across the world. There we go. Right. Sit that on top of the wheel. No. We seem to have lost. There's a tiny little washer there that I've just knocked onto that arm. Right. Purple washer. So when we put it back together, it goes white washer, purple washer, then this spring. There we go. Rescued the spring. So that goes on after the purple washer. And then, as you can see, I've also got that circlip sat on there. Perfect. Oh, cooking with gas now. Now that actually has got a friction clutch in it, so that must be the back of the reel. Yeah, it is the back of the reel. There's a clutch for the reel. Okay. So what I'd like to do before I start pulling now is try and rescue. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a tiny little white washer just there, and that is what needs to go on first when we rebuild this. So I'm just going to go for it. Yeah, got it. Just commit. Right, so they're all lined up in the order that they came off. Now that's out. I think I can lift this out. No. This arm's... Oh, hang on. I'll move that arm out the way, look. Wow, this is so frustrating. This is the most frustrating deck I've ever worked on in my life. Maybe this is why it was £2. But right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this little tiny spring, which is wrapped around another spring. Let's just remove that. That's it. Can we or can we not? Oh, it's so frustratingly close. It's right there. There's a plastic arm just there, and that plastic arm is blocking us. And I can't seem to remove that plastic arm either. It's fixed in place. Oh, actually, I think I might be able to just slide it up and out the way. Yes. Yes. Come on. And as you can see, there's a spring there I don't want to lose either. The arm is out. Oh my goodness. Look at that. I've worked on some decks in my time, and this one presents a challenge. So the last thing is this bar that must go kind of up and under there. Anyway, that needs a jiggling. Yes. Wow. Look at that. That is a little bit of a feat of engineering, I'd say, actually. Look at all that dried up grease and dirt. Okay. Don't touch that. That can just sit there for now. And now, so I think there's our main drive motor, and there's our capstan belt, which is ridiculously loose. I think is our main issue, if I'm honest. These picks are actually really handy. Why didn't I use these before? And there's our drive belt. That's out. And I'd like to remove his capstan now for cleaning. Can we or not? Doesn't want to, although it is very loose. Maybe there's a washer retaining it inside the movement, inside the transport. No, there is no washer, it's just absolutely minging on the other side, so I'm just going to have to go for it. 3, 2, 1. Oh. Okay, that is disgusting. That's really strange. It's really heavy, but not metal. I don't actually know what that is. It's kind of a composite, kind of heavy plastic, like a moulded plastic. And even with a transport as cheap as this, the thought and parts that have gone into it are actually really impressive. That is a really tiny washer. Whew. Right, well, the mission of the capstan being out is now out. We have a black washer where the capstan was. What is this? Oh no. I think it's game over, guys. That was a cog or a wheel. Yep. Game over. After all that. Well, that's frustrating. And it's not often I'll upload something like this. Usually I'll do this and get to a certain point, and then, you know, I'll realise it's not worth uploading, but that was a wheel at some point. That is a shame. There's absolutely no way of being able to replace that. I can't even 3D print one either, because I honestly don't know what size it was. Well, that's why it's not fast forwarding or rewinding, I would suggest. To me, that looks like that was a secondary wheel for driving the reels. There's the back of the reel there, and this probably went over with an arm. But that is that's the end of that, guys, I'm afraid. Well, let's try and look on the bright side. What have we earned out of this? What have we gained out of this? We've gained a motor, plenty of springs, parts, washers, some wiring. We've gained ourselves some cables with an RCA, another plug. You know, I'm £2 in the hole here, but that's really frustrating. Really frustrating. I did see some of these little bits in the deck itself when I first took the lid off, but it kind of looks like the glue that's used to retain capacitors and whatnot, which is what I thought it was. Well, that is a shame, and it's not often that these things come up either, actually, but due to the fact that it is so strange, odd and different, and the fact that it was £2, that in fact there's another great example of the same wheel, actually, the same material almost, and you can see that that's actually got some teeth missing, and that is actually stuck solid as well. Let's see how fragile that is. It's like it's been made out of jelly, and the jelly's gone hard. It's not often that you see that. Look at that. Whereas the one underneath it, still solid. So whatever manufacturing process is involved, there's another one, this kind of orangey colour. That one seems to be, yeah, that one's also jellified. That is frustrating, really frustrating. Because we could have had something, but this is why it's a challenge. Sometimes it is a challenge, and sometimes you fail. But we did what we could. But as I said, always look on the bright side of life, as Monty Python says. So we have gained an awful lot of components in amongst this deck. We've gained, it's not for the scrap pile, but it's for the parts to be used pile, should we say. I think that a lot of items inside are going to become very useful, which is actually the only way you can look at this. Power supply, potentially. Some of the caps could possibly be reused. You know, the rest of it looks absolutely fine. Let down by, you know, let down by cheap manufacturing processes, I imagine, at the time, in order to retain that price point that it's at. But hey, at least we know. So, unfortunately, say goodbye to the Philips FC444. I would suggest that if this is something that you're looking to purchase and potentially do the belts on yourself, it may be that you will reach the same conclusion that I have reached. So, another plus point of the video. The model number will be in the title, someone will search for it. Is it a good deck? I imagine it's totally fine. It was playing, but we can't get it to where it once was. That's why it wasn't fast forward and rewinding. So, there we go. So I've got to wrap this one up, actually, guys. A bit of an unusual one where we don't get anywhere, but what have we learned? We've learned a lot of things, you know. We've put down a little bit of experience and practice towards pulling parts sequentially. We worked out which way things had to go to remove them. Got some good experience out of it. It cost me £2. It is what it is. Unfortunately, this isn't going to go to anybody unless you really, really want it. But I think this is going to make a nice paperweight, if I'm honest, because it's really heavy. It's heavy like metal. Very strange, but a good looking thing. But I think for the memory, I think this will go up on the shelf there as our creative paperweight. I'm sure I can find a use for that. Maybe I can attach belts to it. I don't know, something like that. So do not be dismayed if this happens to you, if you pull a deck out of somewhere or you pull a deck back from eBay. My point of this video, and I will upload it, is don't be dismayed. Don't be disheartened. You know, these things happen, and here's a great example that happened to the best of us. So, unfortunately, nothing to display on this one. So there you go. What have we got up and coming in the next couple of weeks? I have got some amazing stuff. I'll give you a little bit of a preview for some positive parts of the video. I have got a tape player that was featured in Diamonds Are Forever Blofeld's actual tape deck, so that's going to be the next video. I've also just got a lead this morning from a gentleman who is selling a ex-police station evidence tape, which is the tape deck that they use when they're recovering evidence for interviews. Doesn't work. We're going to hopefully be able to work on that in the next couple of weeks if he gets back to me. So that's it for today. On to the next one. This will be piled on the pile of decks. Here is the pile of decks. There's all sorts in here, bits and bobs. Some broke, some not, but what else we got in here we could work on? We've got a Sony amplifier, there's a Marantz amplifier, a Denon tape deck, another Sony tape deck on there, which I think the feet are wanted by somebody who just emailed me. So, aside from that, guys, have yourselves a great day, and I'll see you on the next one.